Do you like long runs? I do. I really like long runs. Hi, I'm Ralph, and welcome to The Ageless Runner. Let's face it, long runs are hard, but I've found a few things over the years that help me make them seem easier and maybe go a little easier. I want to share that with you today. After all, the objective is to do and accomplish that long run. So hopefully some of these tips will help you and help you meet that objective of doing your long run. The first thing is attitude, and that's why I asked you, do you like long runs? I think the first thing to help your attitude about the long run is find something you like about it. The reason I like long runs is it's me time. It's a time where nobody's talking at me, nobody's demanding my attention. It's just me, and I enjoy that. I like spending that time with me during the long run. The other thing I also enjoy about long runs, at least in the last maybe 5 to 6 months, is listening to podcasts. That's the only time I ever do it. I find that relaxing and very interesting. I can learn a little something and be entertained. So find something that you like about long runs. It doesn't have to be anything big. Could be just enjoying the weather, enjoy being outside, whatever. Find something you can like about long runs. That goes a long way to working on your attitude of enjoying long runs. Now, the second thing about attitude that help attitude is, why are you doing a long run? You need to have a goal or an objective. Are you training for a race? Are you trying to meet a fitness level? And so if you have that objective, you look at your long run as a very important step in meeting that objective. That's the big picture you're trying to keep in mind. And meeting that objective then should give you satisfaction and should help with your attitude about wanting to do those long runs. Now, the next tip is more psychological benefit, and that is breaking your long run up into segments, looking at it as a segment, because then you're just focused on doing the next segment. You're not focused on doing 8 miles. You're focused on running another 2 miles or 4 miles to that next waypoint, that next milestone in your run. And I look at segments in 2 ways. I have soft segments and what I'll call hard segments. Soft segments are just milestones along the way where you don't really stop, but if you do stop, it's maybe very briefly, but you just focus on getting to that next waypoint. During a race, it might be a water hydration station. Get to that next aid station, drink your water, head to the next aid station. Those are kind of soft segments. You do them, you don't really stop, you don't take a break, you get there and you focus on the next segment. The other type of segment is what I call hard segments, or a hard break, where you actually stop and take an extended break. For example, I did a 50K race recently that involved 2 laps around a trail, and in the first lap, I stopped. I rested, I drank a little water, had some food. Took maybe 15-minute break, and that allowed me to rejuvenate and recover. So you can also have a hard break. There's nothing wrong with, say you're going to do an 8-mile run, go out and run 4 miles, go back to your car, go back home, go inside, put your feet up, rest for a half an hour, then go outside and do the second half of your run. Those are hard breaks, and those can go a long ways to helping you meet your miles. Because the goal is to meet the miles. If you want to do an 8-mile run, it doesn't make any difference whether you do it in 1 segment or 2 segments. Go out there and get your miles. If you want to stop halfway and take a break and split up into 2 hard segments, nothing wrong with that. But start thinking of your run in segments and set those segments. Now, if you're not doing a race, but you're doing your own run, you're just doing your own run around your neighborhood or on a trail or something, you need to create maybe your own segments. And you don't want your segments too short. I think 1 mile is too short. 5 miles is too long. I think 2 to 4 mile segments work best. So try and think about your course, what might make some natural waypoints, and kind of focus on getting to each of those waypoints. But think segments. Now, obviously, long runs take a lot of energy, and I think the best way to look at energy expenditure is to make it slow and even. Try and expend our energy kind of steadily throughout the run. Don't start too hard, don't finish too hard, kind of keep it even so it'll last. And there are several things you can do in that. And of course, the big thing is do a run, walk, run. I know many subscribers already do that, so I don't need to tell you about the advantages. If you've never heard of Run, Walk, Run, I'll put some links down below. You can learn about it. But the short answer is you take frequent walk breaks. And by doing that, you'll be able to run longer, expend your energy at a slower pace, and be able to do more miles. And if you just want to get started and don't want to look at those videos, then run and walk equal times. Run 30 seconds, walk 30 seconds, or run for a minute, walk for a minute. But do that run, walk, run. That will help control the expenditure of your energy. Now, the other thing that's important to do on long runs is to run aerobically. If you don't run aerobically, if you're running anaerobically, when you run anaerobic means without oxygen. And when you do that on a run, your body's not able to kind of process and resolve all the lactate, and that'll build up in your bloodstream, and pretty soon you hit the wall, you get really tired. If you run aerobically, you can get enough oxygen in and kind of control the levels of lactate building up in your bloodstream and your muscle. So it's really important to run aerobically. And there's 2 tests to see if you're running aerobically. The one test is pretty easy, is can you speak? Can you hold a conversation in complete sentences? We're not talking about phrases or words, but you could hold a conversation and form complete sentences. That's a great test for running aerobically. The other one is heart rate, keeping your heart rate below 80% of your max heart rate. And again, I'll put a link down below for some videos on max heart rate. That's kind of the method that I use. I have a watch, a running watch that monitors my pulse rate throughout run, and I'll monitor that and try and keep my pulse below 80% of my max heart rate. So if you run aerobically, you're going to be running a little slower, a little easier. Again, we don't care about time, how long it takes to do the long run. We care about getting the miles. So run a little easier, make sure you're running aerobically, and that's the best way to expend your energy over a long time. Now, the other thing to do with your energy expenditure is think about, and I said ignore pace, but to make your run a little easier, the mechanics a little easier, is shorten up your stride and increase your cadence. I haven't talked too much about cadence in some of my videos. I have a couple of videos on cadence, but you hear about the magic number of 180 steps per minute, and that's an observed number. In other words, some coaches many years ago, studied elite athletes, marathon runners, and found they tend to run around 180 steps per minute. So that's objective to shoot for, and you don't need to do 180. You can do something less than that. Sometimes my cadence is above that, but you do want to think about shortening your stride and increasing your cadence. That's going to make that run a little easier. It's going to help you expend that energy a little more evenly and slowly. Don't be taking big strides. Don't be slowing down your pace or running, too many steps per minute. Try and shoot for that 170 to 180. That will help with that energy expenditure. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is your breathing. And I haven't spent too much in many of my videos talking about breathing, but it's very important to control your breathing, making sure you're getting enough oxygen, expelling all that carbon dioxide. Now, we all kind of know we want to breathe from the diaphragm. Don't do that shallow chest breathing. Extend our diaphragm and make sure we're getting in a lot of air. But what I do is something that I call rhythmic breathing. In other words, I breathe in for a certain number of steps and breathe out for the same number of steps. And I do 4. So I will take a breath in for 4 steps and then breathe it out through 4 steps. It kind of controls the breathing, keeps it kind of even, making sure I get, plenty of oxygen, making sure I expend it out. Now, there's nothing magic about 4. You may find 5 or 6 steps might work for you. If you start getting below 4, you can do 4, you can do maybe 3 steps, but you might want to think about, are you running too hard? Are you running anaerobically? If you can only go 3 steps before you need to take another breath, maybe you're running too hard or your cadence is too slow. But kind of shoot for that 4 to 6 steps. Breathe in 4 steps, breathe out 4 steps. And pretty soon you'll get into a rhythm. And it'll just kind of happen naturally. You won't even have to count the steps. It'll just happen automatically. And that'll ensure you're getting in enough oxygen and expelling out all that carbon dioxide. So kind of enjoy your long runs. Find those things that give you joy, that you like about it. Control your run. Make it easy. Expend your energy slowly. Breathe deeply and evenly. And you'll be able to get those miles in every time. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, scroll down and hit that like icon. It really helps my channel, and I appreciate you doing that. And if you're new here and you're not a subscriber, I'd love to have you stick around and hit that subscribe button also. In any event, thanks for watching and happy running.